All right, all right. Hey guys, welcome back. So Virgos, first off, Virgos, sorry this is coming out so late. Today is my day off, and I expected I would get up really early. Instead, it turns out I've got a bit of a sinus infection. I am a miserable doggy today. I'm not feeling my best, so I'm kind of sluggish and slow-witted today too. So bear with me. And my obvious, my whole face is so upset today, but that's okay. I'm super honored to be here, and I hope you guys are doing great, and thank you for your patience with me. So here we go. In our storytelling today, I wanted to first talk a little bit about the inspiration for it. So obviously behind me, we have this beautiful piece of amethyst. Amethyst throughout the history has been, a lot of different meanings have been attached to it from different cultures. The Greeks called it amethystos, and it meant not drunk. And they used to make goblets out of this and believed that you could drink wine out of it and then not get drunk. Different medieval soldiers and warriors, they used to wear it as pendants because they believed that it would protect and heal. It's been used through like a Chinese feng shui to attract wealth. It's been used by the ancient Egyptians as a really sought after like jeweled item as well. And sometimes it's also been used for carving, like different images for pendants. Regardless of, well, I should also mention in the more perhaps new age energy vibe, we look at that as closely associated with spirituality, sometimes spiritual guidance or finding one's spiritual guides. So we're going to keep that in mind. But I also just wanted to mention that it's been used in so many different mindsets have been applied to this stone. Now, the thing is, what amethyst really is and its chemical structure, it's truly quartz crystal, but it's been, we'll say, like dosed with impurities of iron and irradiation, and that's what makes it turn purple. In other cases, if they apply a lot of heat to it, it can turn different shades of greens and yellows, and so they consider a lot of like citrine and yellow quartz, they consider it like burnt amethyst. So those are just kind of side notes that I thought were really interesting, and that I wanted to keep in mind. So it is, at its core, it's basically quartz that's been doped up with some iron. So let's bear that in mind as we begin this story. And what I wanted to know is kind of like about that guidance aspect. So if this is a more spiritual concept, by the way, purple has also always been associated with royalty as well as spirituality. So we'll keep all that in mind for the inspiration for this storytelling. We've got a King of Pentacles in the reverse in regards to the multiple different ways to look at amethyst and its connection to finding one's spiritual guidance. We actually start the story out with either a Virgo themselves who felt at one point very lost, or they at one point felt like they had a person who should have been their partner who they viewed as someone who was very lost. And the reason I'm saying it that way, instead of just, a King of Pentacles in the reverse can be greedy, can be selfish. They're not one who's, apt to give. They hoard everything to themselves. That is kind of a case of being a little bit lost, right? This should be someone who is giving and loving and knows that real abundance comes from, creating those networks and those interchanges with others of high value. I value you, you value me. We create a stronger foundation. But someone who doesn't really value themselves has trouble building a foundation with somebody else. And that, therefore, I would say, as a person who was kind of lost on figuring out what their worth was. So I don't know that that was our Virgo, or if that was someone that the Virgo viewed as a partner, but they viewed that partner as a lost individual at that point, like they needed to find themselves. We have a 7 of Wands here. We have a 9 of Pentacles. I would say that's the best way I can describe it, is this Virgo, and this could be how Virgo's spiritual guidance worked through them. Instead of looking at someone and saying, that jerk, that blankety blank blank, they were selfish, they were terrible to me. This Virgo is looking at it perhaps with that softer perspective and saying, it is unfortunate that someone who can't see their own value creates nothing but obstacles when I feel like I'm a valuable person, I wish that they could feel the same about themselves. I wish that this looks like our Virgo has either found their value, because the Nine of Pentacles is somebody very valuable, somebody who's very self-possessed. Even if the Virgo interacted with a romantic partner, and I'm going to say this was one very important person in their life, who wasn't able to give them the love or the support that Virgo would have wanted, that can be devastating. But this Virgo actually never let it destroy their worth in themselves. They always knew this is not the way it's supposed to be. That's perhaps why we even had that Seven of Wands. This is how we overcome obstacles, how we face obstacles. It's also a number of change. I think that meeting somebody who was unable to give to the Virgo allowed the Virgo to sit there and say, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And the only reason Virgo knows it's not the way it's supposed to be is because they already knew deep down, when we have real self-value, we don't operate this way. So I feel like this Virgo has always perhaps been very attuned to perhaps their more spiritual self. You notice how we have this kind of gold placard over her third eye here. Somebody could have glorious strawberry red hair, by the way. So beautiful. I think red hair is so amazing. I'm not gifted or blessed enough to have red hair, but I think it's so pretty. I really like dark hair too, though. We got the Four of Cups, we got the Lovers, we have the Four of Pentacles. This Virgo was forced to make a really difficult choice. It was not at all the choice that they wanted to make. Again, you notice how the third eye is prominent. And here we see that the Virgo has wrapped up their glorious hair. Basically, they have said, it's such a shame that I can't let my hair down with this person. I can't give them all that love. I can't, be that free, open, loving individual with them because they're not ready to receive it. And that's really unfortunate. But I do know that as much as this is something that I'm going to have to walk away from, I also know that this is how it has to go for right now. And it's like they walked away and said, I will always love you, though. I will. With the Lovers card here, it's like if things ever changed, darling, I would still choose you. You notice how she's kind of like touching this person's very ornate necklace. It's as if it's like, I'll see you every night in my dreams, no matter what. Don't think that I don't love you. I wish that you could find yourself. And there's these like tattoos of roses coming up the side of our masculine's neck. Now I don't read for gender, so masculine or feminine, irrelevant, however you want to see that. But this is someone who, it's like she is sending good thoughts to them. I feel like they are kind of tattooed upon, or she is tattooed upon them also. Like there's something here like creeping up the back of their neck, almost like in their subconscious. They know that they met someone divine. They know that this Virgo's touch is something that they won't ever forget either. I feel like these two love each other. And I just feel like it was a bit of a disaster here for a while. That Four of Pentacles, here she is. She's moved on. She's elsewhere. We see that glorious red hair again. The red hair could just represent somebody who's fiery, somebody who's passionate, somebody who's bold enough to say what needs to be said. And I would think that this is probably also describing a Virgo who has been, they don't have to be red-haired, but I will say that their thoughts are kind of on fire. It could represent that also, or their crown chakra is like something that they constantly energize. You notice again and again and again, what we see is third eye chakra is consistently being highlighted. This to me looks like it was one of the most important relationships for our Virgo. And yet one of the most important lessons that they had to learn here was a lesson of, not like a lesson of what their value was. They had to learn that, to see the difference between like, oh, I do value and respect myself. And unfortunately, I dealt with somebody who is unable to give because at the core of why they can't give, or why they're selfish, or why they're greedy, or why they can't offer me love is because they don't value themselves enough. Instead of this Virgo getting angry, saying, they wounded me, they're a monster, this Virgo is like, oh, darling, what a crying shame. I can only send you love from afar and tell you I really loved the real you. I thought you were good enough. And me walking away because I see that you can't give me the love in return. I loved you. I love you. You were good enough. But I can't tell you that enough times to make you believe it, so that then you can shift your energy, so then you can give to me. So I have to hold back. And she doesn't waste any more time. She doesn't waste any more time boo-hooing over this. You notice she holds a book of wisdom in her hands, and she's turning her attention to the fact that we've got kind of like a little bit of a it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes blended with like a bird of paradise kind of creature. She's allowing her good vibes to kind of like go toward that person, but she's also turning her attention to other things in her life. That's why that red hair is visible again. She had to wrap up all of her love and take it someplace else. Or maybe I shouldn't say her love. She had to wrap up her energy and withhold it from this character, because to keep trying to give somebody something that they aren't ready to receive or are intentionally not receiving. She might have sent this person a letter that said, I loved you so much. But if she sent that letter every single day, then it's just kind of like, well, the analogy I like to use for this is, imagine if we made a really fancy dinner, bought all the ingredients, spent all that time cooking, called a person up and said, hi, I made you this dinner. You want to come over and eat it? And we got silence on the phone. Okay, so they don't answer. They're not coming over. Okay, what do we do with all that amazing food? Well, that day we can maybe give it to friends and family. But what if we do the same thing the next day? All of our money, all of our time, make a fancy dinner, call this person, hey, I made you this wonderful dinner. Silence on the phone. The more we do that, the more they're probably just going to quit answering the phone call. But we keep making this fancy dinner every day, spending all of our money, all of our time. At some point, Virgo's bank account's going to be drained. So is their energy. And they're getting less and less back from this character. This character does not have anything to offer right now. They don't want to come over and eat the food because they don't think they're worthy of the food that Virgo made. They don't feel like they have anything to bring to the dinner. And maybe they didn't. Maybe they literally, this could be a person who's low in funds, low in whatever they view as value or valuables. This King of Pentacles could have been very low on all of those things. So they don't want to try coming over to eat this beautiful supper that our Virgo made. So the more Virgo would chase them or try to offer them something, love, meals, whatever it was, the less likely they're even going to be to open up the text or answer the phone. So this Virgo said, the only way I can handle this is I must pack up all of this delicious food that I would have shared with you, and I can't keep sharing it. Doesn't mean I don't love you, doesn't mean I didn't love you, and doesn't mean that I don't think you're worthy of it. But I know I got to quit offering it to you, and I got to instead put my energy toward my own life. I think that this Virgo is getting back to themselves. They are back in full swing of who they are. And I just say that because we can see their hair again. We can see that they're Three of Pentacles. They have turned their attention to other things in their life. They are working right now with it almost feels like they're working with their guides more prominently. You notice how we have a central figure who is looking out like at the cosmos, and we see all these beautiful, intricate designs and patterns, almost like someone is staring out into the cosmos. And then we have two individuals flanking our Virgo. This could just represent the different versions of someone, like me, myself, and I, body, mind, and spirit. I feel like the Virgo is really focusing on asking their guides, where do I head next? What am I to do next? Central to this, we do have, and again, there's that amethyst color, right? Smack dab in the middle. And we have kind of like a North Star completely in alignment right above this Virgo's head. I kind of think that they are recalibrating. They're putting themselves back together. They are truly asking their guides or themselves, okay, this must have happened for a reason. What am I to do now that I'm just focusing on my own life? Ooh, Seven of Swords. So please don't take offense. Please remember that my storytelling is just that. This is always fictional. I'm not talking about you, no matter who you are in this world. I'm not a psychic. I wish I had that gift, but I don't. I have the gift of storytelling. So we get to watch these characters play things out and then hopefully be empowered enough to be reminded that we ourselves get to change these outlines. This is not how our life will go because we have free will to be different. With that in mind, though, what I'm about to say is one of the things that this Virgo needed to get to is they themselves have, at least according to these cards, they've needed to shed some falsehoods that they might have built into their mind. And one of those falsehoods that they told themselves for a really long time might have been that love is a battlefield and I got to be a warrior, or I got to fight for other people, or I got to find people that are put upon or downtrodden, and it's my duty to fight for them, to show them that they're worthy. Maybe this Virgo has had a habit of continuously meeting people that they felt they wanted to protect, or they wanted to persuade to love themselves more. I feel like this Virgo has been a bit of a fighter maybe their whole life, but perhaps thinking that they needed to also fight for others. And this is actually not true. Knight of Wands. In some respects, Virgo needs to protect themselves from that desire to do that. And this is a slow journey. You notice how it's like, put my shield up. This Virgo is perhaps like a compassion king or queen, whatever. It doesn't matter what gender we're talking about, but this Virgo is someone who has had this ability maybe their whole life to spot the person or be drawn to the individual who needs extra love, but really they need to first learn to love themselves. The Virgo cannot give them enough love to make them love themselves. The Virgo instead has to prevent themselves from coming in to be somebody's warrior. They instead have to learn on their journey how to, doesn't mean they're not compassionate still, but they have to learn how to protect themselves from rushing in. This Knight of Wands is normally about following passions, but you notice they're all suited up. There's a barrier, there's a boundary. This Virgo perhaps even has fallen passionately for people that didn't have much to offer, much more anyway than a brief moment of like bonding. And I think that this Virgo is like, one of the things I need to learn is that's that brief moment of me giving them my energy to help them understand that they're loved. That's perhaps not going to help them. It just allows them to bounce in and then back out and continue doing whatever they're doing. Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, it's all about, I think from here on out, Virgo is a fighter and they are strong. That part's not going to change. But the way in which they set the bar for how they want people to treat them, I think it's going to go a lot slower. I think this Virgo is not going to be moved by that empathy, that sudden passion that says, I love this person and I'm going to just show it all to them. I instead am going to allow this person to see that I value them piece by piece by piece, to let somebody know that if I care about them, it's because I like what I see in them. The more I get to know them slowly, everything's going to go at a slower pace. Then that way I can also see where are they at. Because I think this Virgo kept having a repeat cycle of meeting people that were not ready to give. Nine of Swords in the reverse. All of this is going to take away the stress. All of this is going to take away the if there was any expectation for a hero. I wonder if, because of Virgo's strength, if they would attract people who wanted to be Virgo's match. They would come across like, I need to be a freaking hero. And I can only keep up that image for like one hot minute and it's going to fall apart again. So it would always produce like a disappointment. So it could be a flash in the pan kind of romance or relationship followed by a crest fall. I think that this is alleviating all of that. There's no more, because come on, like this person's got this like unachievable 6-pack. I'm sorry, but you only get that if you do dehydration, like at least that's what the movie stars say. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about this kind of body physique, but that's just what I've heard the movie stars say. If you're going to get that look, it can be very dangerous. So is that really what we want to strive for? No knocks to those that are super about their fitness. You do you, boo. I'm just saying that I think that's kind of I don't see too many average people walking around that look like this. So I'm just going to say that's a really high bar to try to hit all the time. And that comes with if it's such a high bar and so difficult to achieve, then it is going to be a collapse of disappointment. Well, we're not going to do that anymore. Guys, we got to take this to a part 2. I'll see you all in part 2. The free link will be right there in the description box. Bye for now.